Listen to the Off the Cuff podcast. I think Chris will like it a lot because he's a bodybuilder. Josh and Joe are IFBB pros.
Oh, very good.
UK based, classic and physique.
We all know an IFBB pro.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now.
Really?
One day.
One day,
might be.
Masters.
Is there? Oh yeah, they do masters.
I don't know if it's a pro card.
You'd just be an IFBB pro. They won't call you a pro master or anything.
Yeah. I love that you've got your Rice Krispie Squares with you. You're such a fucking powerlifter, bro, sciencer.
I just got to have 750 grams of carbs a day, so I want to get the extra 100 in right now.
I've got my Rice Krispie Squares, Brian.
That's quite a good impression, actually. I feel like we're no longer perfectly opposite each other, and it scares me.
No, but then I can see you, because sometimes I feel like I'm hiding behind this and I can't actually engage in
Again, that's why you need a side on mic like mine, so therefore you're not deep into the...
Show me your willy.
We've been there.
How much is your side? How much is your mic?
It's like £50.
Oh,
that's actually a lot cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like £500.
No, they're not. It's not expensive. It's nice little... It's much better than those two.
How much were these?
I've had those microphones for about 15 years. They were in the studio we built for the band.
You built a studio for the band?
Yeah, so our music...
Get the band back together.
So effectively, a song I wrote was used on a Vodafone advert, which paid thousands of pounds. And
really?
I used all that money to build a recording studio.
How many thousands are we talking?
Enough.
Is it begins with a one or more?
How do you mean? No, it definitely begins with more than a one, yeah.
But like 5-digit thousands or 4-digit?
No, 4-digit thousands.
Still a lot of money though.
But high 4-digit thousands.
Isn't it? That's good though. Good investment.
Yeah.
But I think this quality's pretty good, to be honest. I don't know about you, but I thought the quality...
It's absolutely fine. It is fine. I know it is.
I think it's pretty good.
But
there's one thing I know. It's not this.
No, it's not. It's not audio quality.
Although my Elgato mic is quite good.
Go on, son.
So I could put it's
Streamer.
USB. It's kind of a bit
Streamer.
harder to...
Twitcher.
Yeah, it's a USB thing, so it's not a...
Okay, just checking I've got everything in line for tonight's episode.
I think they're old.
You're right. I probably feel younger than you, and yet I'm the older one.
Yeah, dude, that's actually probably true.
Yeah, because I'm like fitter and more active than you are.
Yeah, 100%. And you've got better sunglasses than I do.
It's true. I do like a good...
Although I saw you broke them.
I scratched them, yeah.
You big heifer.
I stupidly climbed with them on and scratched them against the
cow
wall.
that has not had a calf.
You heard of the hoof doctor on YouTube?
Is this like Liver King but different?
No, but he's a surgeon for cows' hoofs. And it's just really interesting.
And why not?
Yeah, and he gets a fuckload of money. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got like over 1 million subs or something stupid.
That's a very niche market, so that would make a lot of money.
But he informs his audience. To ask me about cow hoofs. I couldn't tell you a lot. I haven't seen much of the videos, but I could learn. I love it.
I tell you what I realised today. Basmati rice is bollocks.
I don't like it either. Do you like jasmine rice?
I think it's similar.
I like jasmine rice.
I don't mind jasmine so much, but because I've eaten so much sticky rice.
Oh, yes, good.
Moving away from that onto kind of a long grain vibe is absolute wank.
I just don't. So you got me on sticky rice.
Did I?
Yeah, because you told me you could buy like sticky rice packets. Yes. I was like, this guy, what genius. I come to him for bodybuilding advice now. And then my literally on top of my cupboard, I've got literally 30 packets.
What, the ones that split in half?
Yeah, but also you use both at once.
Well, I will use halves just because I'm spread them out throughout the day.
I've got about 30 of the double packages packed on. And then when Waitrose can't provide me with a sticky, they substitute me with jasmine. And it's okay, but it's not the same.
Sometimes you get them on special offer for like 80p a pack in Sainsbury's, and I just load up and get like 20.
I got excited when they were down to £1 from £1.39. I was like,
oh wow! Normally they shouldn't be more than £1.10 max.
Yeah, they get a bit. I don't need to venture out from Waitrose.
Go Sainsbury's or Tesco.
Have you heard about the Aldi chocolate pots? Have you heard about these, or is it Lidl or Aldi? I think it's Aldi.
Preach.
Apparently they're these chocolate puddings. In Aldi, they're 20.
Jess eats them.
Apparently, they're 20 grams of protein each, and they're like low carb, low fat. Yeah, apparently, they're unreal. As in, like not just bodybuilder shit, like unreal. And they're always sold out.
Wow.
So Josh Bridgman,
he gets like an ice cream cone, crumbles it up, and puts it in there.
Yeah, apparently they're like insane, and they're like Josh Bridgman saying like he just hammers 2 of them a day, and if he can, he'll have 4.
Wow.
If he can, so most days.
Something along those lines, but I know he has at least 2 a day, but obviously he's in prep now.
I'm banging in some cottage cheese at night at the moment.
Oh, that smells like a bad bottom.
No, but you mix it. You'll hate this, but I mix it with whey protein, and it's like cheesecake. The cheesecake's made with cheese, right? So you add a sweetness to a soft cheese, and you get the consistency of cheesecake.
Oh, I don't like this bodybuilder talk. It makes my inner diabetic sad.
And then put some frozen blueberries or raspberries.
Frozen blueberries are good.
Very good.
Not too tangy.
And then if you get like skinny syrups maple syrup is good, and then maybe a bit of like cereal of some sort for a bit of fibre, and you've got yourself a perfect 10 o'clock meal before you go to bed.
I just eat whatever's put in front of me.
Skinny syrup. I've never had anything.
You've never had like 0-calorie syrups?
I have 5,000.
Oh, you don't need 0-calorie anything.
He needs
there will come a time.
Oh yeah, there will.
There will come a time when you are scraping the fucking barrel for calories.
So what I'm gonna do is, when that time comes, I'm like, Chris, you know those times
give me all those fucking hacks I abused you for.
Chris, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it. I promise.
Otherwise, you'll just stick to the fat boy syrups.
Well, what I'm gonna do is, because ultimately, even when I diet down, I don't reckon my calories will go much below like 3 and a bit. To be honest, because I'm such high. Like I've got such high maintenance.
You are in a good position for that, definitely. A friend of mine who seemingly is always in need of like 5,000 calories to maintain a ripped physique.
Yeah, I hate it. A ripped physique.
I think it's great on one hand, but on the other hand, it's an inconvenience to have to eat so fucking much.
I really struggle with it, especially in like massing phases, because my appetite's not massive, and when you have to eat like 7 meals a day and you have to eat so many, it's just like I know it sounds really ungrateful, because a lot of people would probably kill to eat a lot and not have to worry about it. But for me, I know I've got to achieve my goals, but it's just it's hard. Do you know what I mean? But again, there are far worse things in the world to complain about. Imagine I'm complaining about having to eat food. What a fucking privilege.
It's a madness. It is a madness.
There are far worse situations in life. So I can't actually complain. I need to shut up, to be honest.
We should probably ask what we've been up to. It's been like a month and a half since we last spoke formally. Although there was just a little bit of truth before we hit the official intro to the episode. We did attempt an episode a week ago.
It was crap.
And we just were not in the zone. We weren't in the headspace. We did the whole thing, recorded everything, discussed all sorts of shit that you would not believe, and we scrapped it because we were like, this is not good enough. We can't release this.
No. It's one of those things like with videos and stuff. The idea you have to have is, to some extent, you need to have like quality control. Imagine this is the first podcast that people are coming across of ours, and they're going to base their opinion of this podcast, and they listen to the crap one, and they're like, you know what, that's not really, I don't see this being my thing.
Can't do it.
Whereas if we can get a bit more oomph in there, they're like, you know what, these dudes, I don't like them, but I like them a bit more than I might have.
I don't like them. We're going to listen to another episode.
As long as they like 2 out of 3 of us as people.
That's pushed it.
As long as they like you two, it's fine.
I don't know, I feel like I'm probably bottom of the barrel right now.
Oh, I don't know. You're the one. You're the talent.
I've never had talent in my life. Oh, I've gone too far there.
But yeah, so what have we been up to? Michael, you go first. What have you been up to in a month and a half of downtime?
Oh my God.
You're still building a gym, right? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that now.
Season 2, Michael builds a gym.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, so Mike, you're in the process of opening, hopefully, what will be Berkshire's most incredible gym space.
I want it to be the best gym in the south. That's what I'm going for.
Do you know where you've gone wrong there?
Go on.
It should be the best gym in the world.
Aim
big. Aim big. Tell me I'm wrong. Chris agrees.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I'll scrap the plan. We'll start again.
Give us a mezzanine. We need mezzanine.
A mezzanine, that would be good.
I want people to leave Gold's Gym, Venice Beach, to get a membership.
Fly over.
That's what I want.
We get an elite platinum membership. It includes flights.
Okay.
People book holidays to LA just because they want to go to Venice Beach Gold's Gym, which we've all done. Me and Harry have done this.
It's so worth it.
It's your pilgrimage almost to bodybuilding.
Yeah, definitely.
We want people to make that pilgrimage to the UK for our gym. I'm calling it our gym because like it is going to be our gym.
Of course it is. Anyone that's in the gym at the time, it is their gym.
No, our gym.
Mum and Dad are fighting again.
There'll be a Pump Fiction corner, right?
Well, there'll be a Pump Fiction room.
There you go. So it's going to be our gym.
Can podcast creation space.
I want it to have like a glass wall, so every time someone's like doing something with bad form, I can look at like Ryder, for example, and be like,
well, my plan
is that optimal?
My plan is to make a space where we can have a soundproof glassing.
My space.
And our space. And we can do the podcast in there, and then we can have it like they do on American TV, where people can walk past the window, and content-wise,
as long as no one gets their bum out.
Oh, someone will get their bum out, but it's okay.
That'll be you.
100%.
We can blur it post-production. It's fine.
Yeah. We'll have a little toilet in the corner for Harry to sit on for an hour and 45.
Chris brought up the toilets today. I want to clarify. Speaking of toilets, actually. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm actually going to do this.
No. I think you need to stay consistent. How have your bowels been, Harry?
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I had GBK nearly 3 weeks ago.
That's a burger company, right?
Yeah, GBK Burgers in Brighton. I'm calling you out, honestly, right now. Which is really annoying because the GBK in Windsor, back in the day when TFNL was first established and we had t-shirts, concerts for the first time. They said anyone, because we got on really well with the owner, because obviously we're nice guys. They said anyone came into GBK wearing a TFNL t-shirt would get 10% off. At the time, bear in mind we had like 3 subscribers, so
it was never going to harm their business.
Yeah, literally. But then GBK and Bracknell ate a burger though. Felt a bit fruity next day. 2.5 weeks later, still not feeling too spicy.
Up.
Yeah, and guess what? Do you know what's funny? 5 other people have felt sick since going GBK in that time. Ryder got sick. Ollie felt unwell. Amy didn't like it, and 2 of Ollie's friends.
Do you know did it get reported to them?
Not
because that's a serious case for like
6 people. And assume we all had beef. With Beth didn't have beef. She had chicken. She's fine.
It's enough to get them shut down. To be fair,
6 people got unwell. Yeah, and
wow.
I'm
Food
still
hygiene standards.
Yeah, I'm still recovering. And beef is usually pretty safe. Like
pretty solid.
Considering I yammed that shit raw, literally.
There you go.
So other than that, that's pretty much what's been going on. Chris got new glasses, by the way. He doesn't have them here, but they're pretty cool.
I wore them. Can confirm. Nice.
He did wear them.
I do well because I've been doing a lot of running, as we know. I wanted to get some decent glasses for the purpose of running, because I get my eyes water at the drop of a hat.
I hate when that happens when I run.
So exactly. So therefore, I thought decent sunglasses, problem solved, and they did the job.
Good from you. That's funny.
In fact, I have my moments.
I glossed over.
Yeah, I know. You just breezed straight past it.
Skiing. Been skiing.
Oh yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yes.
Because we did that last time, but then we did it again, and here
exactly.
we go.
All the stuff we talked about on the bullshit episode, we need to re-talk about. So there you go.
What else? I passed my course, didn't I?
Oh, you passed this course?
Yeah, I'm now. I don't know what I am now.
He's a level 6
smarter
something
than I was before. 16 weeks before. Maybe?
A level 6 bullshitter.
Yeah, level 7 now because I got the extra.
Oh, sweet! I need to get my level 7 skiing somehow.
Wait, you lied to me. You said there's only 6. They've not made new courses just for you, have they?
They have. He's done it so fast.
I think there's some elite shit that I could do. Yeah, I fucking love skiing. It was so good. I can't wait to do it again. We need to all do it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, boys. Can you imagine me on the slopes? Honestly,
on skis, not on a snowboard.
Can you imagine me on anything other than my ass?
I reckon if you got in a straight line, I reckon you get some speed.
Do you know what you'd be good for? Bobsleigh.
Feel the rhythm. Feel the ride. That's a great movie. Makes me want to cry every time.
Come on, Jamaica.
We can practice on the sled outside. You can just push me around on it.
We can. Do you know what we should do? You can go to Bath, and there is an actual bobsleigh. You can actually pay to try it out. They've got a straight line track you can do, push an actual thing, and they'll teach you how to do it.
Probably get you that for free because I know someone on the GB bobsleigh trains at our gym.
Everything is content. Everything is content.
How many people do we need for a bobsleigh?
4.
Okay, well, you can do 2.
Yeah, but who's our 4th? We need a 4th.
I think
obviously someone from the GB team. We need some expert on there.
You're looking at the expert. Thank you very much. I've seen that movie at least 3 times.
If we know an expert to do it with us, that would be good because they can actually talk the sense whilst we just shit ourselves and push things.
What's the situation?
I'll speak to Emily. We'll see what we can do.
What's the situation with weight limits? And what's the situation? Just
I think. Do you go at the front? Does that make us go faster?
He's at the back. He's a pusher.
Okay.
He's a pusher.
You are a pusher.
And the light one at the front, like me steering, I'm up for that. Even though it's a straight line thing.
No, there's a lot of steering. There's a lot of steering involved.
Yeah,
it's
but not this Bath thing. It's just a straight track that I've seen.
They might better get us on the proper.
The real deal.
They're going to loop the loops.
I hope so.
Yeah. It banks to the side, doesn't it? It's really dangerous.
Do you know a true story? I actually got kicked out of a swimming pool because of something like that. So basically, you go on the slides. And with the rubber rings, you sit on the rubber ring and go down the slide. Neum, neum. That's the noise you make. And I was in there with the double rubber ring with my friend, and I was like, you know what? This is it, boys. So he's in the back, I'm in the front. And as we're going, no, other way, I was at the back, he's at the front. As we go around the corners, I'm there like, boom, trying to see how far can we get.
Right at the edge.
Anyway, so I'm like, boys, this is it. I said to him, Ellis.
This is the big one.
I said, Ellis, go. We're like halfway, not even halfway down at this point. It's a big corner. And I yeet it, and he goes, and we just flipped off. As in, when I say flip, we didn't go around. We went up to there and went, boom, and drop on our heads. So anyway, as soon as we land, the water gets shut off. Like, immediately. I was like, good reactions. And down comes this man on his belly, just shoots down
like a seal or a penguin.
And he gets up, he goes, you leave. I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, honestly, it was an accident. He's like, I can see you.
Were you trying to get on the roof?
I just wanted to see what would happen.
Because like a Formula 1 car, apparently the aerodynamics, they go quick enough, they can go upside down on a tunnel.
Let's go.
So if you guys go fast enough, you might have got there.
Well, he got very angry with us. I said, it was an accident. Sorry, guys, I saw you on the camera. I was like,
I heard you go 1, 2, 3.
And then so eventually, I'm there like dragging this rubber ring, walking down. By the way, when the slide stops, it still trickles a little bit of water. do you know how embarrassing that is? Because at one point there's like an open top bit where it's like netted, and
they're in your trunks.
Everyone, I'm in my trunks, my boobs hanging out. All these people are queued up, like you go past the queue, all waiting, looking at us. The slide's been shut down. There's people at the bottom, like the exit, looking at us, and I'm fall over about 7 times because it's really slippy. So I'm there, whoop, boom.
How did you get off the side? Did you have to get to the bottom and just jump into the little pool? Like,
look, it was one of those things where it goes, vroom, and then.
Oh, okay.
So I kept slipping over and I kept landing on my ass in front of loads of people. Really embarrassing. I'm dragging this rubber ring behind me. I'm like, Ennis, please, this is really embarrassing. And then as we were, everyone looking at us, shaking their heads. I'm so like, you know what? I'm sorry that you're boring. And then we got asked to leave the swimming pool. That was it, really.
Good.
It was the one in Bates at Aquadome.
Oh yeah, they're knocking that down. So
well, that's good because they kicked me out. Is that one?
Coral Reef and Bracknell was still the one, obviously.
Bangs. Honestly, last time I went there, I got an eye infection from all the piss in the pool. Probably.
Have you seen that South Park episode about that?
No.
Homework.
I don't like South Park. Though.
Yeah, I'm not really into it.
Ah, well, you guys are boring then.
Sorry, Mum.
On the plane on the way back from Switzerland, there was this really cute couple in front of me, and they were really canoodling the whole way home. It was really romantic.
How dare they be happy.
And annoying at the same time.
Yeah, I hate people being happy, man.
Especially because it's like they're right in front of me. It's like, for fuck's sake, do I have to watch this? Anyway, as the plane's coming down, this is the point where it switches, and he's like, right, we need to talk about how much you owe me for everything. So he started totaling up. I saw he had this little note on his phone where he was going through all the stuff that he'd paid for. And I was thinking, what the fuck are you doing? You've just absolutely you've had this obviously nice little romantic trip, and the last thing you do when you're like coming down on the plane is sorting out what she fucking owes you.
Because you know he's not going to call her again.
No, they looked quite well together, but I just thought, what are you doing?
Well, they can't be living together, surely, because then you surely have like a joint baby.
We're quite young, yeah.
He's definitely the kind of guy. If you go out for a group meal, he will not want to split it. He'll just want to pay for what he ate.
He's the guy.
Like, I didn't have this.
I just had a Coke, okay.
It's one of those things of like, you can just imagine that every time he goes out for a meal on holiday, he just said counting it, and the 3p.
He's got the note on his phone.
Is that worth 3p?
Yeah.
Get rid of me that, Batman.
Oh, they've already put the service charge
sachet
on.
Can you take it off?
Yeah. Do you mind taking it off?
You know what? I'll get it myself. Don't worry about it. I'll go to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So what's first on the agenda? Intensity, is that the one?
Oh yeah. So we'll do that on the official intro.
Oh good.
This is just the little bit where we have a little catch up, just to make sure everyone's all right. The headspace. That means that when the episode starts, as always, we're hitting the ground running. Do you want any cakes, by the way?
What is that?
I don't know. Mike brought them in.
What's that one right in front?
I found them, so I can't tell you what any of them are.
Quick reminder: we are on YouTube, so if you want to know what we're talking about, we've got a Gogglebox style tray of treats in front of us that Mike's brought in.
I wonder what that one is, but I don't. I'm scared.
Just do it. Bang it in.
I've had the brownie.
It clearly looks like a Bakewell.
In one, you're not allowed to sample it. Just has to go in one.
How big do you think my gob is?
Do you see how much you talk?
That's very rude.
Come on.
Inaccurate.
There's a cake.
Is it cake? Have you seen that on Netflix? Is it cake?
Oh, that thing where it's like a shoe.
Quite nice, actually. Bakewell.
It is wild what people can do with food.
Like a door, a handle.
This guy made like a bowling pin, and it looked like a bowling pin.
It makes me really annoyed because I look at all these people and I'm like, you're so talented. How dare you?
The thing that has changed it is they've got this moulding chocolate now, which hardens, and they can basically put it to the shape of anything. So they don't really hand sculpt so much anymore, but it still looks amazing.
It's incredible. It's all right, actually.
Another thing about planes, pilots, right?
Yeah.
They never have a dress down day, do they?
Don't really need to. They have naps and shit, though.
Like, imagine if they got on a plane. Imagine if they got on a plane wearing their hoodies and shit.
Guys, got my trackies
like a proper road man.
Got my Lonsdale tracksuit on, boys. Let's go.
With his JD bag over his shoulder.
Dress down day today. Fine.
Mike, there's a guy I follow on TikTok who's a pilot, and he just answers all your questions. He's like, what happens? It's like, we have like a short nap and a long nap. Short nap is 30 minutes, and you have like a 50-minute recovery period. Long nap's 45, and you get like a 30-minute recovery period. All this stuff. I'm like,
a guy I know is a pilot. And
my cousin's a pilot. I should ask him.
Everyone's a fucking pilot these days. Fucking hell. Oh, I saw the new Top Gun film. That was really good. Insanely good.
I heard it was good.
Insanely good.
I haven't sampled that one.
Like, you think it's going to be another shitty reboot, and it's going to be tacky and crap, and oh my god, it's so fucking good. It's like probably the best film I've seen in ages.
I did hear actually it's supposed to be one of the best action films for a long time. I was like, wow, okay.
They just nailed it, and I don't know how and why, but they just did.
Oh.
Sorry, we don't have that.
That's the work phone.
We don't have a kind of strict rule on alerts and
it's not even important.
Look, I think we're done.
It's only asking where the keys are.
Probably. He's probably just holding the bar on the gym floor.
But yeah, strap in, guys. It's good to be back, I think, and hopefully we've got a good episode coming up. But we got
a few prep. We've got some really good ones.
We had a fucking good meeting actually last week, discussing some topics. We got some interesting shit coming up, and I'll be also making them eat and drink some stuff as well.
Pepper yourselves.
Yes, but this episode is about to land roundabout now. All right, strap in. This is your pilot speaking.
Of course it is. He's a level 2 pilot, actually.
I've got a level 6 pilot, motherfuckers. This is, your pilot, Christy Fellows, co-pilots, they're pilots as well. Harry Moore and Michael Carter. Good evening, chaps.
Hello.
I've got the full Michael then.
Yeah, do you like Michael? I think you make a good Michael, to be fair.
I feel like you're in trouble.
Technically I am.
Well, of course you are.
You in trouble?
You can call me Christopher if you want.
I feel like then you definitely are in trouble. If you piss me off and say, Christopher, stop it.
Yeah,
then you know shit's hit the fan.
mother still calls me that, like, on the regular.
My mum calls me many things.
Well, we know that based on your various nicknames like Pig and Ratty and all that stuff.
Barry is a good one. Barreled. That's actually one by my friend. Slippery Sausage. That's a big one because when I was a kid...
Is it though?
When I was a kid, I was a very naughty child, and my mum used to say I was a slippery little sausage, and 28 years on, I'm still a slippery sausage. And now and my friends say slippery. I'm like, please don't do this.
I mean, especially with your recent manscaping, you're even more slippery of a sausage than ever.
I haven't actually manscaped for like 3 weeks now, and I'm feeling...
You are letting your sponsor down.
That's what I was saying.
They're going to fucking sack you. If you
I think they already have, to be honest. It was only a one-off thing.
They realised there was zero traction coming from it.
Probably they realised that
your 95% female following didn't want to manscape themselves.
Although apparently I saw a lot of women actually commented saying they would actually consider it because a lot of the male grooming products are actually quite good for all genders, which obviously makes sense because at the end you can't gender specify grooming products. It's just this is a razor. It's just marketed towards men or women.
You want to be really careful with grooming females on your YouTube.
I want to be careful with anything in life, to be honest. I'm scared of the world.
But anyway, this is officially episode 12. The first attempt at episode 12 last week was scrapped, so we're here to do it properly, and we got this time 3 big subjects. As always, we've got some very good subjects coming your way. Can anyone remember the 3 subjects we have today?
Can I remember, please? I've got them prepped in the back of my bumhole. We've got intensity.
Yes.
That's number 1. We've got rep ranges and also fitness within strength sports like powerlifting, strong bodybuilding and whatnot, like conditioning.
The implications of rep ranges.
All the good stuff. Where to put rep ranges and essentially which movements might best align with certain rep ranges. And also...
the finest supplement known to man.
Test boosters, so testosterone boosters. Essentially a supplement that apparently naturally boosts testosterone.
Is it good? Is it bad?
I can't say. I could answer it in a second right now.
Well, find out. Hang around.
I'm not allowed.
But yes, hopefully you're watching us on YouTube. You're enjoying the lovely daylight spilling in through the big windows we have and the lovely fireplace, plant life and what have you. You enjoying the room today?
The plants are fake, aren't they, to clarify?
Yes.
So I can't smell them.
Have you got hay fever or something?
No, I just wanted to smell them.
Fine. You have hay fever, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
They're not real, don't worry.
No, it doesn't bother me.
Those ones are real.
I'm immune.
Well, those trees out there.
I'm immune to pain and hay fever.
You are so not immune to pain. If anyone's going to feel pain, it's definitely going to be you.
I've actually got a really high pain threshold, so much so I was used as a case study by... remember Alex Barry?
Yes.
You know he's a masseuse?
Yes.
He used me as his case study because he thought I had a nerve condition because he was like stabbing me with this metal spike and I was falling asleep and dribbling on his bed. He was like, are you not crying? Like people scream. I was
to
like,
be fair, if anyone's going to be Deadpool, it's probably you.
Maybe. I've got too much hair though.
You've got a similar level of kind of bad humour and intelligence.
I'm probably the funniest one on this side of the table.
No one's disagreeing with that. Anyway, so let's move swiftly on. Just quickly, Michael, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just enjoying the ride so far, really.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Missed you. So you literally every day for the past 6 months.
Yeah, thanks.
No one sees me. It's fine. I live in a hole. It's not a problem.
I do see you. You come down the stairs. You say hi.
Then I quietly go about my business.
With your other half, you're like, right, better train. I'm like, yeah, cool.
See you later.
It's bye.
See you later, bye. Yeah, that's fine. I'm an in and out kind of guy. I'm not there to chat. And in fact...
In and out.
And imagine
he's still married. Crazy.
In
Crazy.
fact, the whole concept of me getting on with my workout brings us on to the first subject. And should I do the little first subject-y noisy thing?
What's the noise? That one.
Go.
I've missed that. Intensity. And I know what you're thinking, well, intensity, you must be referring to how close you're going to failure. That is certainly a means of gauging intensity, but not the intensity we're talking about today. The intensity we're talking about today is actually going to be more aligned with rest periods. Because obviously we know that obviously the green zone for hypertrophy, so the building of muscle is like 0 to 4 reps in reserve, all that good stuff. But what about rest periods? And there's a reason behind this topic. You know what, Noah?
Because you talk too much.
Noah, I'm talking to you right now. I hope you're listening.
Because people want to talk to you, man, and they need to stop talking to you.
No, I love this conversation.
No, but I'm I worry. I literally, I'm at the opposite end of the gym with my headphones on. Nobody talk to me. Minding my business, getting my gains, and I'm looking across at Harry in his 7th conversation of his workout, and I'm thinking,
with his disciples.
This is a man that wants to step on stage like next year, and he's looking great. Don't get me wrong. But he's all about optimizing, aren't you? You agree?
I am about optimizing.
It's all about optimizing.
See, the thing is...
And he's not optimizing his conversation.
I love a conversation, as you know. I know everyone knows. I love a chat, especially with my friends. And everyone at the gym's my friend. I love them all to bits. But so it's also partly on... Call me off guard, boys. Are we going to have an emotional... Do I talk over this? Do I listen to it?
That's the theme tune from Cheers.
Oh,
because everybody knows your name.
I wish everyone knew my name.
It is like watching a magnet just pulling in. Like you walk into the gym floor and
loads of friends.
Whoop.
Yeah, because I've got lots of friends.
That's a nice thing.
I always said the goal of training is to be the biggest, the strongest, and the nicest person in the gym.
Everybody knows your name. This is your song.
Doesn't sound like a Lorna Shaw song to me. New song yesterday, actually. They released
really?
one. Yeah, it didn't caught me off guard.
Did you see the video? Sorry to completely derail the conversation. Did you see the video where they put a camera down his throat?
Oh, great video. God, lots of saliva. I'll show you later. But yeah, basically, I love conversation, but I think it's also partly on me. I get too distracted. So essentially, I think rest periods, that's what we're going to, is when kind of obviously the idea of like rest periods is you rest for as long as you need to recover between sets. Obviously, you're training to failure, probably have to take longer to rest. Obviously, if it's a compound movement, probably going to take longer to recover than isolation, things along those lines. And there's actually a checklist of things to go through. It's essentially like, there's 4, I probably can't remember off the top of my head. It's about like, not necessarily in this order, it's like, is your localized muscle recovered? Like your quads recovered from an extension or like a hack squat, whatever. There's like surrounding muscles, have they recovered? Is your breathing recovered? And have you like eliminated or reduced systemic fatigue or like CNS fatigue to the point where you're mentally ready to go again? If you can tick all those boxes, you're probably ready to go again. That usually typically falls within like the 3 to 5 minute range for obviously hypertrophy, provided intensity is there.
I mean, they used to say 90 seconds.
Oh, bin that shit. They still do in the PT course.
But I mean, ultimately, there's nothing lost by doing that, I would say, other than the fact that you probably won't get as much out of that next set if you...
Yeah.
Because like, if I count 90 seconds between sets, I'm still feeling that previous set too much, I think.
Yeah, well, I think ultimately, if you go too quickly when you're not ready, you then risk how close, or at least comparatively, how close you're getting to failure versus the previous set. Then also can alter like mechanical tension. And also then are you actually now failing because your muscles are fatigued, or you're actually failing because your breathing is still trying to catch up from the previous set, which will be relevant later. I
think there's a lot to be said about following principles rather than like words and numbers as gospel. And I think that's the 90 seconds thing is kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to chuck a caveat in there in a sense that some people might train more for the kind of fitness side of lifting weights, in which case that level of it, like for example,
then absolutely.
Like for example, if you're doing a circuits class or whatever, there's that borderline where we're moving from that high intensity calorie burning aerobic style of training, which involves weights, to actually building muscle and looking to, optimize how much weight you can lift. So therefore, don't get stuck in the middle.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's very much like goal specific. Like obviously we're referring to it in the sense of like hypertrophy and the building of muscle. But when you are looking at more the fitness side of things like classes, essentially a primary goal of yours is probably going to be maintaining a pretty steady heart rate where it's nice and high. And if you're resting for 3 to 5 minutes, your heart rate's probably going to sink a little bit.
Well, as I've said before, got a new fitness tracker thing.
Oh, here he is.
Crowbar it in.
But the point I'm going to make is when I train like a typical bodybuilder, it doesn't really acknowledge that I've burnt a lot of calories. Simply because my heart rate, it dips up for the period that I do the exercise, dips down in rest and back up and so on. Whereas if you're doing a more aerobic style of weightlifting or a class or whatever, it's going to stay up.
Yeah, so the dips are going to be less
It's as simple as that. But then we're focusing on the, as we say, the hypertrophy side of things.
Absolutely. I think, but then to flip around, I guess from a more functional side of things, I think Mike would probably approach things a bit differently.
Well, when you start to go into like the CrossFit world, you're looking then at like thresholds and trying to mess about with like flirting with the line of failure a lot more with heart rate and your ability to move between energy systems a lot more, whereas lifting weights like resistance training is like one energy system.
And that's where really your intensity, and you ain't going to be having no conversations during a CrossFit session because it's all against the clock. You might have a conversation, but you might have a conversation
sure.
before and after the WOD, but you're certainly not going to be doing it during.
Definitely. During like the competition element, so actually when you're competing in CrossFit, it's all time domain based.
Yeah, I think
whereas time,
especially like bodybuilding, powerlifting, between like classes and lifts and stuff, you actually have a fair like time to do nothing. And to some extent, especially with powerlifting, you have to almost get accustomed to resting for a long period. Because obviously you're probably going to rest for a longer period than 5 minutes if you're doing like heavy singles. But when you go to a competition, you could be 15 minutes between attempts. And if you're used to going off, let's say 2 minutes, you're going to have a shock to the system when you're cold. Yeah. And that's nasty because you've got to stay warm, but you also can't do any warm-up sets because then you're fatiguing. It's just like, it's all over the shop. So again, ultimately, I think it does come down to really goal-specific. But I do feel like sometimes it's about finding the period of, you kind of gauge your rest period. Let's say you consistently rest for say 4 minutes between sets, but trying to be as consistent with as many variables as possible. So if you do a set 4 minutes, you do next set 4 minutes, cool. If you do your first set 4 minutes and you drop your reps by 2 reps, so you first set you got 10, next set you got 8, and that was failure. But then your last set you rest for 12 minutes, suddenly you're probably going to get 8 again. And then next week you go to match that or even progress on that. You're like, God, my 4 minute rest period, I can't do it because you weren't consistent with your variables the week before. You need to acknowledge, actually, I did rest for a really long time between this set, so I cannot expect to hit that number again because I'm now over-recovered.
So I get that there is a real kind of social aspect to training. Obviously, when I was younger, we would go to the pub or go out or whatever and drink and chat and stuff. These days, which I'm quite happy about, the younger generation, such as yourselves, Harold, and even younger than you, because you're quite old now.
Don't say that. Makes me sad. It's also true.
Will actually hang out at the gym because that's part of their routine and where they'll meet their friends and so on, which is great. However, for me, and maybe for what you may agree with, and Michael as well, is that it's to the detriment of your workouts, because ultimately, you want to you're there to make improvements.
Absolutely.
You're there to better yourself. So be careful with that conversation time.
Absolutely. I think what I'm trying to get better at personally is funneling workouts or funneling conversations either before or after training. Because obviously I love chatting to everyone at the gym. Like literally love everyone at the gym. They're all just blessed people. They're all my friends. And I think a lot of other people at the gym are probably in a similar boat to me where they're noticing their workouts are lasting a lot longer. And they don't mind being at the gym for that long, but they'd rather do the workout and socialise around it. So what I'm trying to get better at is socialising before or after. And then I say to you, actually keeping an eye on my rest periods, because a lot of times when I've got call conversation, especially if we talk about like movements and things that kind of like almost excite you to an extent, where you like talk about lifting. Yeah. Then suddenly you look down, it's been 6 minutes, and you're like, shit, I need to crack on. Yeah. So it's what you suggest is set your timer.
Yeah, so I literally just set it in front of them. Talk.
But it's not even for them. It's almost just like for me. So when I hear that timer go, it's been 3 minutes. So I said, I'm now at the bottom of my rest period. I need to start thinking, am I ready to go again? If I'm not ready to go again, I need to start getting ready to go again.
Yeah. I think ultimately, if everyone thought like that, then no one would probably be talking, because ultimately, people's clocks aren't in sync, are they? So therefore, I don't know. I just think there needs to be a bit more focus from certain people in the gym on just getting into that workout, getting into that headspace. For me, I do get into a zone. I enjoy being in that zone. That focus is good for me, and I like a bit of aggression. If you're having a pleasant chat in between, the aggression is gone.
Yeah, I think it depends on the movement I'm doing. Like if I'm doing something I feel like I really have to, I guess, give the beans to,
go to a dark place,
then I get real sad. But then if it's something where I'm doing a little cheeky bit of bicep curls at the end, which is probably off program, I'll say that, what, a bit of extra bicep never hurt anyone. Then I'm probably not that fussed about it. So I think it's just holding yourself accountable for, are you taking the piss with your rest periods, but also acknowledging that it's like you and I talk quite a lot between sets, but when it's time to go, we're really good at just pausing conversation and like we'll pause, do the set, kind of get in the zone for 30 seconds, do the set, come back, and then we'll pick it up later.
Look, no one's going to be offended if you say, "Oh, just give me 1 second, I've got to do my set." Because they know why the fuck you're there.
And that's probably what I need to get better at. I think a lot of people at the gym
need to be more blunt and say, "I'm going to just do my set, and I'll give you a 30
I just say now, let me get sad. And that usually means I'm going to do a
They're
sale.
always fucking sad.
I'm the happiest guy I've ever met.
I think from also like a more of a scientific standpoint, when you build a program, you're going to, right, I'm going to do this workout at this pace and this intensity. So when you're filling in your program, you're not really following your program because you've built it with those rest periods in mind. Right, I'm going to move to this exercise. I'm probably then going to start my next working set. If then you're having 20-minute conversations between exercises, then actually what you're writing down in terms of progress, you're probably not working hard enough based on what is on the piece of paper.
Well, it's that inconsistent variables, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard, especially like when I go to my other gym in Slough, the conversation is minimal. But I also go where it's very empty. It's not very busy. And it's cool. I crack on. It gets a bit lonely, to be honest, because it's just a bit lonely, isn't it? You're in an empty gym by yourself and you'll be like, oh, okay. But then when I go to East Park, it's like I'm surrounded by so many friends. It is almost like a social thing.
It's a hype squad, isn't it?
Yeah, I love
that
it.
does help.
Like when people go for big lifts, it's so great to see all the people there like gassing you up. Love
That is
it.
cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good community. And honestly, I think everyone at East Park is absolutely fantastic.
That's different from a strength perspective.
Yeah, it's different type of training, isn't it?
For me, like my best workouts are in kind of intense bodybuilding environments where everyone's a little bit scary and there's a shouting aspect to it because like there's an aggressive vibe in there, but everyone's behind each other, but they're hyping you to get more reps and more weight and so on and so forth. So I think that side is good, but everyone's there to get shit done.
Yeah. No, I respect that. I think, yeah, it just comes down to accountability of you just being better with your rest periods. I say you as in everyone, including myself, obviously, being better with rest periods and keeping those variables consistent, but understanding that you can chat between, but you can pause the conversation, or you can just chat before or after. Like none of us are really going anywhere, let's be honest.
And I think it's remembering like why you're there. Like you said, go in there with the intention, I'm going to get this workout done. Yeah. And other people are there to work out too.
Absolutely.
Conversation's fine, but like you say, if you're going to ruin the pacing of someone else's workout and then justify it yourself, but I need more rest, so I'm going to have this longer conversation.
Do you actually need more rest?
Yeah. It's like,
because sometimes I come away from it and I think, like, especially on certain days where I know it's more of a social day, when I kind of allow myself to get too distracted and almost too excited by all my friends I'm seeing, I come away thinking, although I hit my numbers, I just don't feel like I've achieved I've achieved much today. Whereas when I can crack on, and I'm holding myself accountable, saying, Harry, don't get distracted, because it's completely on me. It's my own fault. Don't get distracted. I do that, then I socialise afterwards. I sit down, I feel shattered. I'm like, I'm almost in a better mood to socialise because I feel like I've had a good workout.
I love walking out of the gym feeling like I've fucked myself up.
You feel like crap.
I can't help it. I like that. And
that's why I love DOMs.
For me, like I'm a very sociable person in general, but for whatever reason, I'm quite good at just shutting myself off to the world when I'm in the gym. I don't know why. I just can do that. And to the point where I feel like I'm being rude, but I don't mean to be.
I'm not going to lie. Working in gyms for 12 years, I've just learned just to let people talk at me, and I just carry on training. I'm just like, just there we go. I'm listening, but
anyway, right. Well, that's hopefully a bit of thought for everyone. We happy with that?
Make sure your rest periods are consistent and you're not letting yourself slack.
Ronnie agrees. Okay. Topic number 2.
Oh God, don't point at me. I think we kind of started to touch on some of this, didn't we? Rep ranges and resting and
I'm excited for this one because I've got some good things I want to say about it. But I want you to.
No.
I want you to go first, sir.
No. You said you got some good things because I want to see where you're going down with this because I think I've done a different thing to you.
You're going to speak about the more fitness and conditioning side of things, aren't you? I assume.
Yeah, kinda. I have touched on other things.
So obviously, rep ranges will play a big part in your training, depending on your end goal and how you've structured your workout. So therefore, we need to approach this. What are the best rep ranges for the best results?
I don't ever think there's like one best rep range. I think a good program probably has a lot of rep ranges in it.
Let's switch the question up then. How do different rep ranges affect?
The way I see it is certain movements I think are better in certain rep ranges because essentially when you get to a certain point, other variables outside of like the target musculature you're looking to fatigue start hindering your ability to fatigue that area. So for example, if I said do a set of 8 or 30 on leg extensions, your limiting factor on that movement would probably be your quads. Regardless of when you do 8 reps or 30 reps, your quads are probably going to die first. Whereas if I say do a set of 8 on hack squats, you're probably quads will probably fatigue pretty quickly, they're pretty fried. If they do a set of 30 on hack squats, your breathing is probably going to give out long before your quads do. Therefore, you then have a limiting factor outside of your target musculature, which is obviously therefore, ugly for lack of a better term, no longer optimal for that area or the growth of that area.
So therefore, the variable when you're saying about doing 8 reps or 30 reps means that obviously for 8 reps, you're going to be able to push heavier weight than you would for 30 reps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think ultimately it comes down to what is going to prevent you, what is going to hit failure first? Is it your target musculature? Is it surrounding muscles? Is it your breathing? What is it? And essentially you have to then identify, okay, in what rep range can I work in where my target muscle that I want to take to failure will be the limiting factor, and what rep range won't it be anymore? And that's why for hack squats I'll do 6 to 10, because I notice when I start going to the 12 to 13 my breathing really struggles, so they're probably not worth going to that area, because now I can take my breathing to failure, but my quads are probably 3 or 4 reps in reserve, which means my intensity is now inconsistent. Whereas if I go to a leg extension, I've got a lot more freedom, but because I'm doing lower reps elsewhere, I should probably push the higher rep work towards my leg extensions.
I think I feel quite similar actually. So for me, I will generally do pretty low reps on a big compound movement. So squats, hack squats, maybe chest press of sorts, big military press. I'll probably go for lower, higher, heavier stuff, because I feel like that's kind of really going to overload the muscle, and I'm looking to, build some strength in those areas. Then when I move on to the more well isolated movements like leg extensions, as you say, or just like machine work, or even just kind of simple dumbbell work, whether it be like curls or lat raises, that sort of thing, I'm chasing the pump. And it doesn't really affect my fitness, doesn't really come into it, because it's not like on a leg extension, I'm not getting out of breath in the same way as I would on a squat, because
less moving parts, isn't it?
Less moving parts, less blood pumping around the body as a result of it, therefore the lungs aren't suffering. Also
a lot less systemic fatigue, in the sense that you're probably mentally not having to just get as hyped for a leg extension. Like, despite you'll take it to failure and you're getting in the zone, when you got a squat or something, you're really getting in that mindset of this is going to be especially shit.
There's a panic in there, isn't there? Because on
risk, isn't it?
On a machine, like we've said this before, the reason why machines are good is you can go to, before you even start doing it, you can go to failure and there are zero ramifications, really. Whereas if you're going to failure on a squat, well, something bad could happen.
You may get pancaked.
You may shit your pants.
You may shit your pants.
I've actually seen that happen multiple times.
Brian, I've shit my pants.
Oh, don't do that. But where are you? Like, so I actually covered this in the Q&A video I did a couple of weeks ago, which is kind of what triggered this thought, because there was Stan in the gym. You know Stan?
Yeah.
I think young kid. Bear strong.
He's very strong.
Really strong.
I have a young man named Stan. I mean, that's not a young man's name, is it?
I think he's a Stan and not a Stanley as well.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. He's a bloody strong dude, and he trains pretty well as well. Because he asked a question, I thought, that's a question I would have never asked at that age. A really good question. It's good
that someone's curious about things like that.
I think it was a fantastic question, which is why I wanted to kind of, because it obviously goes on to the conditioning aspect of things, but I want to hear what your points were before we go back to
conditioning. In what sense then?
In the sense that I see a lot of bodybuilders and strength-based athletes, or like muscle-based athletes will say, essentially neglect the role and the importance of things like conditioning, because essentially if your conditioning is awful and your cardiovascular ability is pretty horrendous, you're going to be limited by your breathing much quicker.
100%.
Therefore, you're actually then preventing or essentially limiting the effectiveness of certain movements due to that breathing becoming a hindering factor.
Definitely. And I think when you consider, like you said with the breathing, and like you think about energy systems, that's when the conditioning starts to come in. And I think conditioning is bit of a difficult one, because when you see conditioning, especially on like FitTok and Instagram, a lot of the time it's like dance aerobic with weights.
Did you just say FitTok?
Oh, that's the thing. That's fitness TikTok.
That's FitTok.
Fuck me, I'm old.
It's like dance aerobics with weights, and people tend to prescribe conditioning as like sets and reps, and they just either do it faster with lighter weights, or they just do less rest. And they say, well, this is conditioning work. When actually you look at true conditioning work, you're, like I said, anabolic threshold, you're looking at metabolic threshold, you're messing around, you're trying to flirt with the line of failure, work pace, like with jogging, Chris, when you do stuff, when you're trying to work at pacing rather than just running as far as you can.
My running training, I've obviously, as the more I've done it, the more typically, as I always do with everything, I've learnt about it as much as I can, and I've changed I do 3 different styles of run every week, and I'll structure them differently in order. And by doing kind of interval sessions where I'll do slow fast, or if I just do a very long slow base speed, or just a very short, fast one, I've improved my running, and now my times are really respectable because of that methodology.
Yeah, I actually quite like that approach, because I've coached a couple of people who were training for the marathon, and a lot of them, especially when doing a lot of reading, a lot of people suggest obviously doing these kind of different types of training. It's like if you go to gym and do a full body day, you'll probably do 3 different full body days in that week. So different types of approaches to it. And one of them is essentially going really, really, really slow for a really, really long time, and just kind of building up that resilience, that kind of like, I guess,
your body
low intensity in conditioning.
Your body needs to adapt to doing that movement for a long period of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So ultimately, if I can do a really conveniently easy and slow, let's say 12 to 15k, when I then want to do my faster 10k, both mentally and physically, my body's like, this is fine. This is a lot easier.
So like with OPEX, just by chance I'm wearing the t-shirt today. They
not sponsored.
They not sponsored. I am an OPEX coach though.
He's going to get us Red Bull sponsored though, apparently.
Oh yeah, we can discuss this later.
Wait, what? Is you actually lying to me?
No.
I'm still waiting for CNP. Hope you're watching.
No, Red Bull came down to see us, and we had a chat.
I saw them yesterday.
They want to help us do some events, so that's quite cool. We can discuss that.
Yeah, but after the podcast,
yeah, we can do that. So like with OPEX, they have this thing called MAP, which is an acronym for maximum aerobic power, and MAP 1 is what you were saying. So it's like a pace you can stay at for 60 minutes, and you do a workout, whether it's a run or a row or ski erg or mixed modal, so stuff with a barbell and a kettlebell, whatever. But it has to be at a pace you can sustain for 60 minutes. So imagine how slow you have to go.
Horrendously.
Yeah, and then MAP 10 is like 30 second.
Yeah, so it's sprinting,
like power,
short bursts, yeah.
So a good example would be like you look at your 5k time and say like your 500 meter split for a 5k time was like 1 minute 52. You would then accrue volume at that pace, and then, because I've written this down because it's in my head, and then you work on threshold by basically working at that pace but in shorter work intervals. So rather than running 5k every time, you would maybe run like a kilometre, and you try and increase your kilometre time, and then you would then retest it, and that's your ability to push your threshold higher. So you go like that, and then you fail, and then you just push your threshold a little bit higher, so you still drop off and fail, but you fail later. So you can keep the power going for longer, and therefore you can go further faster.
That makes sense. That's exactly what I've noticed with my running training, in the sense that I've been really pushing to get my 1k and my 5ks quicker and quicker, so that I can maintain that for longer. And my watchy thing measures my VO2 max, and it's cool. It's getting better and better. I'm now in almost in like an elite level of VO2 max now.
And that's the other side of conditioning work, is your ability to recover from sets of work. So you see people when they program conditioning, it's just balls to the wall almost, like train to failure in conditioning, like until you can't move. But really, if you want to actually get better at conditioning, you need to do a block of work, recover, and you need to be able to repeat that block of work at least once. So you need to do it at least twice in a session, and then you can build that out to work blocks, and then you can make those faster individually, rest less, and then you get fitter and fitter and fitter.
Well, an interesting question that comes from that is I guess I ask you is, do you feel like, obviously a lot of times you see these conditioning works, they're coming from people who are paying a trainer as a client to put them through conditioning. Do you feel that their kind of over intensity without the consideration of repeating blocks comes from the kind of the toxic mindset of PTs, where they must annihilate, not optimize? And not in the sense that when you go to a client and they say, I had a really good workout, how do you know your workout was good? I was bad, I couldn't move anymore. But then you say, well, you've been essentially like to the point where I was taken beyond failure, it was horrendous. It's like way beyond, to the point where it's actually detrimental, but they obviously don't see that. They've been annihilated. So well, what I would say is, how do you know you've had a good workout is, I achieved what I needed to achieve, and I'm progressing from that. So it's almost optimized. Whereas obviously with this kind of intense conditioning where they are just beansing it for one block and not be able to repeat it, that's a kind of annihilation approach, which I don't think, I think it's expected in PTs, but I think it's actually detrimental.
It's almost like treating the workout like the performance of competition. Like absolutely. You need like 70% of your training to be training, 20% of it is mental toughness, and 10% is performance. Like if you look at a good CrossFit block of training, a lot of it is training. Like you're learning skills, you're practicing skills, you're getting faster. You don't compete that much. If you compete every WOD, every workout, you will be in the bin, because your body will not recover from that. And you won't necessarily get that much fitter. You'll peak your fitness, and then your body is just like, nah, that's me now.
Well, that's the thing. It comes into different sports as well. So for example, like bodybuilding, a lot of bodybuilders like myself, you could take every exercise to failure, or probably close to. But with powerlifting, a lot of times, especially in that kind of off-season prepping stage, you really don't push above
very sub-maximal.
Yeah, very sub-maximal. You don't really push above a 7 RPE, because ultimately there's a big difference between testing strength and training strength. That comes down to like the competition aspect of there's a difference between training for a competition or competing in every session. Essentially, it's all well and good you feel like you've done loads, but you're severely hindering and limiting your performance and your progression.
No, definitely. And I think that's where CrossFit got a bad name, was because a lot of boxes did just program competition workouts all the time.
Especially for the average
This happened at the games, so we're going to do it on a Monday. And it's like, no, these people are not conditioned or well-versed enough in these skills to do it at that intensity.
Because they fall into the toxic PT trap.
Yeah.
I spoke to a chap, one of my clients the other day, who said he'd got into CrossFit. And, he's a young relative. He's in his 20s. He's probably, not in the shape he wants to be in, hence why he started doing CrossFit, which is great. Obviously, doing anything is applaudable, and he really wanted to get stuck into it. But they're putting him through his paces, and he's only been doing like 3 weeks, and he getting him to do like really technical lifts and everything, and like pushing it harder and against the clock and stuff. And he's getting injured, and he's only been doing it a month. How's that going to convince him to keep going if there's no progression? If it's just straight in the deep end?
The other concern is it deters people.
Yeah,
definitely. That wasn't fun. That was too much for me. First session in, that was not it. There
needs to be levels. There needs to be a progression with that kind of with all forms of sport. Anything you're learning, anything you want to get better at.
The thing is,
patience.
A lot of people, when you say I got injured, the first go-to is bad technique. When in reality, in a lot of cases, it's actually not the case. You can lift pretty badly for a fair period of time without actually getting hurt. Yeah. What's actually often the case, again, I know some people may disagree, but from what I've read, a lot of times the injuries often come from poor load management and shit recovery. And essentially, when you're annihilating every time, your load management is probably crap. And if you're going and going, when you're not ready to go again, your recovery is also crap. So you're basically over fatigued, under recovered. They're like, I must just be lifting with bad techniques. It's like, no, I just think you're lifting.
You're probably on that path for a while. Yeah, absolutely. It's just that one lift is a thing that just
and that's probably due to a build-up of so many other factors like the fatigue and the under-recovery.
Everything should be approached that's new with a similar method of that whole couch to 5K thing that became so popular during lockdown. And the concept is essentially go from 0 to moderate. It's not from zero, like it's a very slow progression. That was the reason why it worked and people got on with it, was because it's I can do that. And it was all laid out neatly. I can do that. I can do that. Okay, I've done that. I can do the next thing.
Yeah.
So you're starting something new or trying to make a progression or improve or something. You need to take that approach. Don't do bite-sized improvements. I've completely forgotten why this applies to rep ranges, but I feel like it was
appropriate. We're talking about conditioning like that
work,
kind of stuff. It's kind of a bit of a tangent. But I thought it was a good discussion.
It is good. And to touch, you kind of did ask a question which I didn't actually answer, which was, no, it's okay, it was me, I didn't answer it, was that you asked about the PT culture and why people program condition that way. I do think a lot of it is, if you can't get your clients buy-in to understand what they're doing, your easiest go-to is just intensity. Just make them feel tired, and at least you can say you've ticked that box. And the trouble is, people then hang their hat on, that is what it is, that like I can't buy into this idea that in 12 months I'm going to have a better 5K time. It's like, I feel fitter because I don't get tired as quickly.
I think if a PT spent an entire session working on technique and working sub-maximal and not pushing them and just basically improving them, as much as we in the know and the PT in the know would be like, they're making great progress, the unknown, the person who doesn't really understand, is going to leave that going, well, I didn't really, that was all right.
Definitely.
So that's what I can do, especially with like some clients in the past, is I almost pre-warn them saying, like, I'm not here to annihilate you. I need to make sure you're lifting properly.
This isn't exciting, okay?
Yeah, like I was going to say, you're lifting well. If you're not lifting well, you're not lifting heavy, big man. That's just how it works. Like I've got a couple of clients, like a woman called Zahara and a man called Nick. And the first while, it was like, you learn to lift better. And then when you lift better, we lift more. And they're progressive. Nick's 62 years old, come from being extremely heavy, a lot heavier than I ever was, and with bad knees, bad everything. And now he's deadlifting 140 kilos off the floor after not being able to bend over and do anything.
Definitely.
It's like, but now you can lift well. And beforehand, you had to go off a thigh-high rack
Yeah.
It's just like I told you, it's really boring, but now it's not boring because you can do fun stuff because you've built the foundations. Now you can see the house.
That's it. And like I think as I've gotten older and more experienced as a coach, and you can actually describe things better to clients, I now find that I can say to clients like, this isn't going to be too sexy a lot of the time, but you want results. So as long as we're
everything
getting results,
about you is sexy, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
It's like, are you here for the now? Are you here for the goal?
Yeah.
So why are you training? I want to get fitter. Okay, well, this will get you there.
Yeah.
But you may not feel fit at this moment.
I mean, I had this chat with a client the other day when she was a little bit concerned about she'd put on a little bit of weight on the scales. And I said, thing is, once your body composition starts to improve, how much you weigh matters less and less. So it only matters to you at the moment because you haven't got the body shape you want. Once you get the body shape or closer to it, you will stop caring, and then it's going to get to the point where you just don't even weigh yourself anymore.
There is another discussion there about weighing and body composition and all that sort of stuff, tracking your progress and ways to do that. That might be a topic for another podcast.
That could be the one after the big one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Not the next one, the one after.
Let's tease it at the end because I think it would go well with the last topic.
Yes, we were going to do that, definitely.
So should we conclude this topic before we go on to the last one?
I think we should, yep. So conclusions that we can draw.
So I'd say ultimately in conclusion it comes down to your rep range. Obviously it's very goal dependent, we know that, but separating that, your rep range is also very much movement dependent, and you've got to consider what do you want to take to failure, what do you want to work on, what's actually going to be working or is going to take dominance. People might want to ask us what we would advise. I say typically for, let's say, bodybuilding and that kind of stuff, or like let's say resistance training, hypertrophy, I typically lean towards probably lower reps towards multi-joint movements, maybe higher reps towards single joint movements. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases.
Your big lifts, basically.
Yeah, big lifts go lower and obviously by default heavier.
Yeah, and then when machines are involved and you have that external stability there, obviously like you mentioned earlier with going to failure, you can push a little bit more because you know from the first rep of the first set, if I fail, the machine will kind of keep me safer than if I was doing this. Yeah,
I always regarded a good workout started with the low rep heavy stuff, moved on to moderate amounts of reps, and then finished with high levels of reps, because ultimately that's how your fatigue's going to work through the workout to maximize fatigue and muscle breakdown and re-go again.
I guess you want to get, like, obviously we see this would be another topic for another video, is almost like lengthen versus shorten position starts and stuff like that, but that's another video.
We just know too much. We have too much. It's just blowing up right now.
But yeah, I'd say on the conditioning side of thing is, regardless of your goal, don't neglect your health and your fitness. So if you're bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, whatever you're doing, make sure things like your breathing and your cardiovascular ability aren't preventing you from being able to actually train for your goal and your purpose effectively.
That was something we did actually want to say, was that even if you are trying to build muscle and bulk, shall we say, there is room for cardio in that week in order to keep you fit and help you push more and you push longer.
Definitely.
Even if that's just something as simple as getting your steps in, moving and just being something as simple as that, because even on a massing phase I still need to get my steps in and I do cardio once a week sort of thing.
And I mean, you've got three main energy systems, and there is some value in touching on all of them, even if you're primarily using one, okay, when you're building muscle, but you should touch on the other two because it will help you.
I agree.
There you go. Okay, Ronnie's here. Okay, people. Third subject. It's a bit contentious, but it also links to something we're going to be talking about in 2 episodes' time. 2 episodes' time, we're going to go dark. We're going to go to the depths of Mordor.
Yeah.
To talk about a subject that not a lot of people talk about, but we feel should be talked about. Isn't that right, Harry?
Yes.
I was trying to give it a bit of depth.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Give me a bit of fucking theatre. So in 2 episodes' time, we're going to be talking about drugs.
And not the drugs you're thinking, like recreational drugs, but performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh, I'm a bit nervous about it, but it's going to be a full episode. A
juicy episode.
I see what you did there.
A full Juice Plus episode.
Oh, Juice Plus.
Yeah, we
could do one on MLM.
Oh God,
in all seriousness,
I'll headbutt Herbalife.
In all seriousness, we decided that we need to bring some stuff under the spotlight and try and get as much information out there about the dark side of what goes on in the gym. That is in 2 episodes' time. But now, on a slightly tenuously connected subject, we're going to be talking about testosterone boosters.
What a waste of time.
Wow.
What a
Okay.
That was quick. Right, end of episode. Good night. See you later.
I was going to say, you're not a waste of time. Testosterone boosters are a waste of time. Just want to clarify that. Do you know what's a really effective testosterone booster? Natural. Sleeping more. Eating
100%.
Better. And
Banging chicks.
Just better. Well, I wasn't going. Well, I don't know. I don't.
Optimal fat intake.
Yeah, honestly, just living a better quality life is really good for testosterone and just hormones in general.
Who'd have thunk it?
Honestly, and you guess how much that costs? Nothing.
Well, eating, there is a food cost.
Yeah, but maybe you're spending more by eating a lot more shit out. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Could be even be cheaper. Who knows? Could be saving money.
Have you either of you had a off the shelf test booster before?
Yes, I have.
I definitely would have done because
I definitely have.
Like when I first got into lifting weights and bodybuilding, I was searching for every little advantage I could. I had Tribulus.
Oh yeah. I had that.
I had I had all sorts of supplements. CLA I was having
Horny goat weed.
BCAA. BCAAs.
That's something I find in RuneScape.
There's so many different. I was spending hundreds of pounds a month on supplements.
Oh, dude! I used to always go in GNC and be like, "What can I buy?" And I've just looked it up here. It was
no one can afford those prices.
It was well, I knew the guy. It was USN, and it was their hardcore range,
Muscle Fuel Anabolic,
and it was 19.
Good shit, man.
19 Anabol testosterone booster, and it came red pills.
I think I had the same one.
Yeah, little tub with a little screw top, and it was like that big.
How were they even allowed to put words like anabol or GF?
Well, back in those days, things like
so
SARMs
unregulated.
and like peptides and stuff
Dude.
were like they were on shelf. You were allowed to buy them, most of them would say like they were called Dianadrol or something like that, and you'd be like that actually
sounds very much
like, you can just imagine the marketing team at like USN or these supplement companies like, okay guys, okay, we need to come up with a new product. I don't care what the fuck you put in it. The name has to be similar to a banned substance, just to make people think it's very similar to the banned substance. What do you got? I don't know. Diana, Bolic,
Princess Diana Bol.
Princess Diana Bol. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Yes.
Honestly, the thing is, like so back in the day when I was like 17, I was like, muscle fuel anabolic. Someone told me that
Muscle fuel.
Yeah, they told me it had steroids in it. It's like steroids. Yeah. I bought the 5 kilo tub of it. Do you know the one with the bucket?
Yeah,
the
one that people
bucket.
hold at expos for as long as they can.
I used to hammer that, and then I'd be like, "Boys, I'm going to be sick right now." And then I get the test boosters as well. And I was just thinking, I'm the most anabolic I've ever been in my life right now.
I bought the test boosters because the guy that sold me them had the biggest arms I've ever seen. He must have had a medium GNC
That's
polo
too big
on
already. T-shirt's too big,
and he was like tanned and enormous, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, these are what I take." And now, obviously, looking back, that wasn't.
As soon as you said tanned, I was thinking, "Is it me? It might have been me, guys."
Definitely,
pretty wildly tanned.
They were just, I think, like Chris said, I think because they just play on the ignorance of the consumer, it's like, that kind of sounds a little bit like.
Look, it works because ultimately, like, if you're completely new to it, the same way you're new to the exercises and you're reading all the magazines you can find. You're gonna see these supplements and just assume the same way you listen to a new PT. You assume they know everything. Mm-hmm. You assume that the products being sold to you in the shops are, why would they lie to me?
What did I say? Why would they sell it if it didn't work? And then that logic is what trips so many people up.
It's imagine like a business is trying to make money. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I think that. So I obviously the reason this conversation got kind of brought up is because individuals that we're aware of have been consuming these test boosters. There's also another topic coming from probably next week of testosterone or another week. It's another topic entirely. And
is that Turkish testosterone?
It's like a plant-based,
sure.
like something is going on in there. There's actually
horny goat weed.
And I kind of asked him, said, "Why are you taking test boosters?" He said, "Oh, it's like steroids, but it's but it's natural."
Like not.
I said, riddle me this, Batman. I said, "Why are test boosters more expensive than testosterone, like anabolic steroids? Riddle me that." And they were like, "Oh, maybe because it's natural." I was like, "Or maybe because it doesn't work and they're just trying to get money from you." He was like, "No." I was like, "A business trying to get money from you? Disgusting behavior." So basically, the kind of fundamental conversation, or I guess the concluding point of that conversation was, please stop wasting your money. If anyone came to me and said, "Harry, I'll give you £1 million to sell a test booster," what I'd do is I'd headbutt the test booster.
Burn it all.
Then I'd make them. I've got this heart support supplement that smells like dirty, eggy, rotten fart, and I'd shove it in their face and smell that. That's what I do to them.
Heart support.
Yeah, it's called like Heartstrong Max or something.
The fuck does that do?
It's just bare
supports
health.
his heart.
It's bare
Just
health
bare
stuff, cholesterol
healthy.
stuff,
Okay.
and it's the worst smelling thing you will ever.
Probably
smell.
means it's good for you then.
Yeah, it's got it's hornthorn berry or something that's in it. That's the worst, most disgusting. It literally smells like an eggy fart.
Talking of things that smell weird that are good for you, next episode we're going to be looking at foods and other things that are good for your digestion.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
And you might have to try a few things.
I mean, also,
we got some kimchi.
I don't know.
I hate kimchi.
I've got a list of things.
Spicy.
Yeah, I hate spice.
Why
I'm
is it
not good.
spicy?
Yeah. There you go. So you can be excited for that.
But
A
yeah,
lot of the test boosters have like anti-caking agents or kind of random bulky stuff in it. Just makes it pad out.
We've got
proprietary
some
blend.
Anti-caking agents.
Yeah,
here.
you might as well have this. This probably has just as much in it.
Have another one.
Oh, go on.
The fruit is the anti-caking agent on that tray.
There's like the active ingredients in these test boosters. It's so small because they got to make good margin on them. So even if it did have something in it that was helpful, it's probably not enough.
So,
Wait.
oh, Mr. Chewing cake over there,
Mr. Chewy.
dildo.
I think the thing is, even let's say they did increase your testosterone by 10%, and you think 10% is a fair amount. When it comes to results and performance, and just how much you would notice a 10% increase in testosterone, you wouldn't. It will do nothing. 10% is not enough. Like you go on, for example, it's going to be relevant in the conversation in a few weeks. You go on anabolics, you're increasing your testosterone to hundreds of percent. Test boost is not going to. Let's say it did do something. It's not going to do enough. That's
It's a
worth.
fart in a wind tunnel.
It's literally not going to be enough. That's worth £60 a month. Reality.
I just googled something. I googled does pornography increase testosterone?
Probably decreases it.
In the study, 20 young adult males were shown full length porn movies in which
They made it that far.
which boosted their testosterone levels by a whopping 35%.
First of all, did the plumber fix the sink? You'll never know. And second of all, I think that's probably in a one-off situation, but in excessive porn will. I think there's actually research.
They have linked it to erectile dysfunction. In
Yeah,
men.
I've seen. Yeah,
Too many stepbrothers, probably. Too much incest. Much incest.
I read a story. I read a article about it, and then watched a few TED talks about it, and that's why I
TED
quit.
talks about porn.
Yeah,
dude.
About
Yeah.
the negative impact it
Totally
can have
excellent
on.
discussions about porn.
Well, there's a negative impact it can have on hormones, negative impact it can have on like sexual health, and negative impact it can have on expectations when looking at like your partner of like women to look a certain way, provided that is your kind of
and
desired
sexual
partner.
performance.
Yeah, things like that. So many things.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was 22 years old and I quit watching porn.
Fair.
So 6 years ago I binned
Yeah.
off porn because I think surely in moderation it's probably okay, maybe, but I think realistically,
Are we having this discussion?
why not?
Why not? But you know what? Pornography.
If we can't talk about it, who can?
Exactly. Pornography, if you think of it like a tool that you use during a sexual experience.
Watch it with someone. It's probably better.
I
Any
just think-
tool you use too much of, hurts you.
Look, we're going to
So-
get real honest with that.
I don't want to use
If
my
my-
tool too much.
If my audience are listening right now, I'm really sorry, but I feel like you've got to have these conversations that people don't
When
want
a
to have.
man loves a woman, or a man loves a man, or a woman loves a woman,
or if anyone loves anyone.
if anyone loves
Hey
anyone.
guys, Pride Month.
I actually really like your t-shirt. I think it's a really good one.
I got it free at a Laker game
I like
on
it.
Pride night, and I really like it.
No, I think I was going to say earlier, it looked good. But when it came to that, essentially, I'm not very good at moderation, as we know. I do things properly or not at all.
You go hard or go home.
You optimize your
everything-
pornography watching. Is that what you're saying?
The only thing I do in moderation is moderation, and it's like I'm not very good at just that kind of limit. So I was like, I can't do things a healthy amount, like training. I'm pretty obsessive with it, so I'm not going to do it at all. Probably again, not a healthy mindset.
Do you know what?
so
I'm actually with you on that. I've got a very addictive personality.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get into something, you've seen what happened with the skiing, the climbing, the
we all
fucking
know.
running.
We all know.
You add something filthy to that mix, and I get just as addicted to
loves
that.
it.
I'm going to try and get fucking good at it.
And I think that watching porn in excess, or just watching porn in general for me when I was younger, has such a negative impact on my perceptions and expectations of partners, performance experiences, all that stuff. And also just my kind of like drive in that sense. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I would rather actually watch porn than interact with you. And I was like, that's a problem. So I was like, I'm going to cut this out. And then I've binned off, and I've now been on a porn ban since, because it's just...
Well, porn ban. I love that.
I've been on a porn ban, and
should get as a t-shirt, hashtag porn
although
ban.
I can never control anyone's life, I always recommend people just try it. Just why not? Try not watch it.
Well, that's where that whole abstaining,
not watching.
Yeah, try not. So I did the 90 days
of abstinence.
Yeah, and then I was
yeah.
like, let's carry on.
Yeah. I think also because people then use it because when they're bored, they do that too. So it almost develops an unhealthy relationship with sex with boredom, and it's like, well.
There you go.
Are you horny or are you bored?
Yeah,
this conversation's making me horny.
Yeah, and hungry.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's just what I'm watching you eat.
I think we fisted that conversation enough.
I see what you did there.
That was good.
This guy
white knuckled it right to the end.
Yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done with subjects for this episode.
That was much better than last time.
Do we want to do a quick Q&A before we wrap up?
Sure.
Do we want to talk about stretching versus mobility again that we did last week?
Nah, save it. Save it for a discussion.
Yeah, we'll bring it up. We'll do it properly.
We'll bring it up again. Don't worry, Ollie. We got it.
He asked me because you're going to answer my question again. I was like, Ollie, shut up.
This is an anonymous one. How would you recommend beginners to track calories and protein intake (brackets for muscle building, not weight loss? Is it necessary to buy a food scale, for example, and what apps to use that are free?
You'd be a good one because you swear if you don't want to do food scale,
I think.
Obviously, food scale is going to be more accurate.
I always recommend MyFitnessPal as a very simple go-to for tracking foods. I'm not saying you have to track all the time, but if you track for a few days to gauge what your typical day would be like, you've got control to make some variables and get some consistent meals that you enjoy.
But I feel like sometimes if the tracking and the counting of calories and the weighing things is something you can't, if you can't do it in a healthy manner that's sustainable for you. Yeah. Mike has suggestions for you.
That's I was going to say, I agree with you. And then when you zoom out a little bit and say, well, if you can't track, or you don't want to weigh because it's triggering.
There's not always a convenient time to track, so therefore look for some simple mechanisms.
Or mental health considerations.
So one thing you can do,
it's the hand thing.
Yeah, it's a hand thing. So it's not 100% accurate as tracking, but obviously
especially if you've got massive hands.
But at least your hand is going to be a consistent size.
Well, this is the thing, and you should always carry your hands around with you. I don't know about you guys. I've always got my hands with me.
It's that dad joke.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, for example, protein intake, because that's what the question was. That could be one portion is your hand.
Is that the palm?
Yeah,
that's the palm. And you can literally then, when the food is served, you literally just put your hand next to it.
You just put it in your hand. Pick up your Nando's chicken breast and see if it fits in your palm.
Or even you can just look at your palm and just kind of
you just put it next to it and just be like, yeah, that's about right.
Can I play this game? Is it a thumb of fat?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a cupped hand of carbs. Now, I'm not saying that's the only system, and I think that is the best system to use. A boob of carbs. But it is a good way of consistently thinking about your calories and your intake and then your protein intake. Because then you can say, right, okay, so if
it's a simple measurement.
Yeah.
Simple measurement.
Because one hand could be 40 grams of protein, depending on the size of your hand and the piece. You then know you have to have 5 palms of protein a day to hit your goal. It's consistent. You can even make a little checklist where you just tick off
high five yourself
5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 done. And then it's just a nice consistent way. Then you can dabble in tracking if you're ready for it, or if you don't need to. Most people can get their goals if it's just superficial goals, body composition stuff. You can do that with your hand.
I've said it before.
I agree
because I've done many years of tracking, you don't have to do many years of it, but because I have done tracking with MyFitnessPal for a long time, I can eyeball everything now. So a little bit of, I do encourage people to track a little bit for a few days just to understand what your typical eating habits are like. Once you've done that, you then may learn from that and you can apply that gained knowledge to wing it a little bit and still stay on track.
I think it ultimately comes down to his consideration is, can you track without it negatively impacting your life from a mental health and emotional perspective? If you get obsessed and you feel like this is going to lead to disordered eating or worse, eating disorders, it's not worth it. But if you still want to track to some degree, I think the hand thing is a fantastic thing. But on top of that, if you feel like even that's too much, I say you've got to prioritize about finding ways that you can work around it yourself, even if that is just eyeballing and winging it about.
And be instinctive.
Yeah, and you got to learn intuitive eating, as they call it. That is a skill that you have to build, and you have to learn. Are you a cook or a baker? Are you someone that follows principles, or are you someone that can follow numbers?
The good thing about intuitive and instinctive eating is you're less bothered if you go off plan because you haven't tracked it. There's no adding up here. You're just instinctive. Do you know what? I've done a bit more today, so I'm going to ignore. I don't need to look at the numbers, but I know I've done a lot of extra exercise today. Yeah, I could probably afford that nice thing that I've been looking forward to. Or
definitely, but I would say intuitive eating is the black belt. To get there, you probably need to do a little bit of tracking.
I feel like I've got it.
Yeah, there you go. So you've done it for so long now.
Level 6
intuitive eater.
Fucking there, boys.
He's so good
I'm
at
tight.
it.
I've got tight again. I'm down to 73.5 kilos. I'm
intuitively tight. I like it. So you kind of probably need to do a bit of tracking at some point, and you just need to build that skill because you need to probably build your knowledge a bit. To be an intuitive eater, you do need to have that.
Learn about foods. Like don't even see it as tracking what you're eating. Just learn about what foods actually going to give you more bang for your buck. What are going to deliver the nutrients? What foods are good carbs? What foods are good fats? What foods are good proteins that can slot neatly into making the meals that you actually enjoy?
And like Harry said, like you probably need to get to a point where you feel comfortable with doing that. Like, can you reframe the way you look at food and understand it and enjoy it? It's fuel. It's there to be enjoyed as well. Absolutely, as reach your goals. You shouldn't have to I like the food I like.
I've been dieting and I enjoy the food I eat throughout the day. I've figured out a way to do that because I've spent many years fine-tuning the foods I enjoy that work for me.
Definitely, and because there's so much emotion wrapped up in food, it's
deep, man. I could get very deep about certain foods.
Yeah, and I find that if people don't even realise it until you start to coach them a little bit, and then you realise, you do realise that you've built rituals and things, and from cultural side of things as well. And in order to break that down to make it better for you, it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot longer than people think. You can't just jump into a diet or calories and be like, right. If you can do that, if you can flick a switch and just do that, fantastic. But it's okay if you can't, because I struggle with that. And I'm more of an intuitive eater. I follow principles because that's just the way my brain's wired.
I love your principles.
Thank you. Do
you like his principles?
I like everything about him.
Okay, guys. High fives. High fives.
This is good. New. I like this. Reach me.
High fives, right, cool.
That's so warm.
I'm clammy, leave me alone.
I'm fucking clammy as hell right now because it is a bit warm. It's like 25.
I come from training legs, leave me be. I've got a Lizzie McGuire t-shirt on.
We've all got nice t-shirts today. I'm pretty happy about today's episode.
That is blessed, isn't it?
Yeah, great.
Very blessed.
RP9 episode, love it.
RP9, shall I give us a little time check? It's not too bad either. It's we are looking at 1 hour 15, which is very light.
Optimal.
Very light.
Yeah.
Not a lot of waffle. If you want more waffle, then
watch my YouTube channel.
Watch
in before the rest of us.
Then if you want more waffle, then send the waffle emoji to the Pump Fiction Pod Instagram account when you're listening. Please tag us in your stories if you're listening to us. It makes our fucking day to know that you're listening to us.
I like it.
And also, we have hit 10,000 listens and we could not be fucking happier.
Yes, thank you very much for not dumping us.
Yay.
We are very, very happy about it. In fact, I'm going to play... We made it, guys.
He's got songs prepped for everything.
We made it to 10,000 listens.
Is this Cheers again?
No, this is Barry Manilow, you fucking fool.
Is this Lorna Shaw's new song? I've not heard this one.
But yeah, we are still loving doing this podcast, and we are very much back in your ears right now. We are coming in your ears so hard, and we're not talking about porn anymore. And these two are on their bloody phones.
I had to check something. I just uploaded a YouTube video. I don't know if anyone hates me.
I'm hungry.
We're all very hungry, but this has been another fantastic episode of, well, in my opinion anyway, Pump Fiction Pod. And thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram. He's radical.mike.
Got it.
Harry_TFNL.
Hello.
And I'm Christy Fellows. And this has been Pump Fiction. See you later.
Bye.